Toronto Real Estate Board released their real estate numbers for the last month, and of course, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon of it's not good news. And the problem is, I noticed something a little different than what's being reported in the news. And then I see realtors doing videos on real estate market updates. And I thought, wow, this stuff is just so repetitive and boring. And I can't believe anybody who really cares about it. Which is kind of funny because now I'm going to actually do a video because I never do. But today I thought, hey, what the heck? I'm going to give you the Jeff O'Leary version of what I think's going on in the real estate market. So the purpose of today's video is to explain how I think the real estate market is going right now and how it is going to do in the future. Now, a disclaimer here. I'm by no means an expert. I mean, seriously, all I do is sell homes on a daily basis, but I'm going to leave the expertise up to the media, the politicians, the fashion bloggers, and my neighbor's son, Joe, who's never owned a house, because they are the true experts in this industry. So this started off with what I was reading in the media. In fact, I have an article on my computer here by Maclean's, and the headline goes like this: real estate sales are catering around the GTA. Is this a crash in the making? Now, to be fair, the article's actually well written and quite creative. The title is a little bit misleading because when you get through the article, you realize that there was a couple of pockets in the GTA where sales have come down dramatically, but those were also the same pockets where a lot of foreign home buyers, which I know everybody says didn't exist, existed and were buying houses. The reality is all the other markets, sure, they came down from the spike, especially the expensive properties, but it's nowhere near what Maclean's and other media companies are claiming that the market is like. In fact, you can't have a bubble in one city and then the city next door, you don't have a bubble. That just doesn't exist in economics. So when you look at the fundamentals, nothing else is there. However, property speculators, foreign home buyers, people like that are no longer buying houses, which in turn, I guess they did have quite a big effect on the prices. So my first step is to draw a non-scientific chart about what has happened over the last 5-10 years in the GTA real estate market. So here it is, my totally unqualified real estate market update. As you can see from my scientific chart, you can notice home prices continuously going up. And then about in 2016, something happened. Prices really started going up. I mean, you're talking 2, 3, 4% a month in some areas. And people were wondering what the heck's going on. Now, I have my theories about it, but again, this is an unqualified real estate market update. So, I mean, we definitely want to rely on the media and the banks to tell us what really happened. But for this story, what I'm going to say is this. Prices really started to go up. And in the beginning of 2017, last year, we were on an overheated, frenzied pace. Until in April, the government announced new measures for foreign home buying speculation, among some other things in a Fair Housing Act. It really doesn't matter. But the steam came out of the market. And what you noticed, especially with detached, more expensive homes, about a 15% drop in prices over the next 3 months. And they kind of bottomed out in September. And since September, we've kind of been riding a kind of a status quo wave. Prices are starting to slowly climb up, and that's where we are today. So in reality, if you look at today versus 2 years ago, you're still way ahead. Now for sellers, the problem is this. They're still listing that spring 2017 price, hoping they're going to get it. As a seller, my advice to you is simple. Price your home properly and also make it look good, because I'm telling you, buyers out there, they're willing to pay a lot more money for something that's done. Whereas maybe last year, because there was really not a lot available and everything was flying off the shelves, they were willing to overlook an inferior property and pay top dollar just to get into that house, just to get into the property market. Now, all you home buyers out there, you're not clear from the misinterpretation of the market either. Home buyers now, reading these articles, are figuring prices have plummeted big time. And that's not quite the case also. See, in order to really have prices drop, you need to have no buyers available and you need to have sellers who have to sell. That's not the case here, because you got to remember, the downturn in the market was not caused by economic factors. It was caused by government regulation. Home sellers aren't losing their houses. Therefore, they're not desperate to sell. They're not going to drop 30-40% off the price of a home, especially if you're buying in the lower end, so condos and townhouses. They keep going up in price. In fact, I was in a multiple offer on a condominium not 2 days ago. Who does this market benefit? Well, people like me. People who have a family, already own a home, and want to buy a bigger house. That's where the savings is going to come in. So if you're selling your townhouse to get a nice detached double car garage, you're probably going to be in the best situation you've ever been in the last 5-6 years. So at the end of the day, it's not so much what the numbers are doing, but the question is, Jeff, is it a good time to buy a house? And I'm going to say, heck yeah, it's a good time to buy a house. It's a lot better than it was in 2017. And for your sellers, it's not all bad news either. If you're buying something nicer, then you're doing better also. I'm going to leave it off as this, as my prediction for 2018. For the spring, you're going to see very moderate growth. It's going to be a little slower. However, I feel as we get into the year and people get used to all the changes that are going on, that you're going to see an uptick in home sales and the prices will start going up also. There you have it. I'm Jeff O'Leary with my Unqualified Market Watch report. If you have any questions about real estate, always feel free to call or email me. This is Jeff O'Leary, the Village Guru, keeping real estate real, and I'm out. Now, before I get into my totally unqualified housing market report, I just wanted to say that, as a disclaimer, none of these market reports are even qualified, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they're comparing the housing market at this time today to this time last year, which you can't, because, I mean, let's face it, the market was absolutely insane. I'm going to argue come June, you're going to see that prices here are now up because it'll compare it to June last year after the big drop. So what I'm trying to say is, while I'm unqualified, I do know what I'm talking about.